Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.
Hey guys, Amber here with A Meeple Family, and thank you so much for joining me as I wrap up all of our plays for the month of July. I am still getting over a summertime cold, so please ignore my red nose and weird voice. Well, before we dive into this enormous list of games that our family played for the month of July, I would ask that you please give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe. It really helps our channel grow, and we appreciate it so much. So in order to go through all of these games, there's a couple things I have done. Because I've already recorded a video a couple days ago going over all of my solo plays, I've only included a couple games in this video that I didn't include in my solo video. So if you're interested in solo plays, be sure to check that video out. In addition to that, I'm going to be going over our top plays as well as just like a plethora of family games that we played. And I've also included a few that I play with my little guy who just recently turned 6. So if you're wanting to hop around to different categories within this list, I will link those down below. Let's go ahead and get started with my solo plays that were not included in my solo top 10 list. So in July, I definitely did play Lux Eterna, which I have talked about extensively, and you can find information on that in other videos on my channel. Another one I also played in June was Paleo. This is a really fun cooperative game. It's not actually a solo game, but I typically will play it two-handed, and I also was able to teach this to my 12-year-old, and he really loved this game, so we played this a couple times together, and I also played it solo. And two newer solo games for me were Orchard, which is like a 9-card solitaire game where you are layering your cards on top of each other to produce fruit. And the fruit in this game is actually dice, which you continue to turn as you multiply your baskets, which is stacking the cards on top of one another. This is actually tied to the Kickstarter that I backed called Grove. I went ahead and ordered both of them together. I have been able to play Orchard, haven't been able to play Grove yet, but I'm looking forward to covering those two more on the channel down the road. And the last one I was able to play solo is Bullet Heart. I didn't want to include this one in my list because I really only got to explore this game a little bit. Like, I didn't feel like I got enough plays and enough of the mechanics down to really talk about it in my solo top 10 video. I did dabble with it and play around with it a little bit to get an idea of how it worked, but I'm hoping to delve deeper into this one in August and September and do a better overview of how this game works. From just the few opportunities I've had to get Bullet Heart out on my table, it seems like one I'm really going to enjoy, and I'm excited to delve into it more in the next coming months. So moving out of solo games, let's head into family games, and this will definitely make up a big chunk of this video. Included in these family games were actually a couple 2-player games that Josh and I were able to tackle this month, Aqualin and Watergate. These are some of our favorite 2-player games, so it's always fun to get them out on the table once, twice a month, and these were the two that we got to the table in July. Another game we were able to play was Fantastic Factories. Now, I played this with my son, who's 12, and we also had some friends come down and stay, and we were able to play Fantastic Factories as a group of 4, and such a fun game. I really love this game. I actually did have someone comment, because this was also on my solo list in my other video, and they told me they highly recommend the expansions for this game, so I'm definitely going to be checking those out, and I am probably going to purchase one of those pretty soon because I really, really love this game. And as some of you may know, every Thursday night our family sits around the table and we play a little stuffed fable, so that obviously made it on the list for July as well. Next up is Planted, and I have to say, I wish I would have bought this game right when I saw it come out. I waited a little too long, and I don't know if you guys noticed, but the price jumped from $19 or $20 to $30. So there's sometimes it pays to wait and sometimes it doesn't. I kind of watched the hype of this one and I was like, like I felt like I could take it or leave it. Well, ended up picking it up because someone had bought me a gift card for my birthday and I thought, I'll buy Planted. Well, to be honest, I just thought it was an okay game, but my 8-year-old absolutely loved it. In fact, he told me, Mom, this is now on my top 3 of all time games. I really like the fact that you're only having to focus on resolving one card at a time, which I think is absolutely stellar for kids. And I also taught this game to my mom, my niece, and my daughter, and we played as a group of 4, which I think with these type of games where you're passing your hands and like drafting cards similar to Sushi Go, it does work nicer with a bigger group of people. When it was just me and my son playing though, I will say it was a lot faster to play through, which I personally enjoyed. Next up on our family game list is the Red Cathedral. Absolutely love this game. Cannot wait to teach my family the expansion, Contractors, which is being released at Gen Con. I just feel like the mechanics in the Red Cathedral are so tight and so well done, and I absolutely love this game. The Red Cathedral made it to our table several times in July. Another filler game that made it to our table was Framework. I was able to play this with a few of my kids, and I also taught it to Josh and we played together, and of course I played it solo as well, but I love this game multiplayer because I love all the combos and how quickly the game really does go. Absolutely love this game multiplayer. That's my favorite way to play it, so I was so thrilled to get this to the table so many times in July. Another game that was pretty new to us in July was Funfair, and I got to play this several times with Josh, so we just played it at 2-player, and there's so much I love about this game. I love like drafting cards and building a tableau in front of me. That's like one of my favorite mechanics. So this was really great. And if you guys have never played this, basically each person has their own theme park and you're trying to build a better theme park than the person you're playing against. Now you're only allowed 5 attractions, and then behind the attractions, you're like stacking cards, which are gonna have like qualities or themes. Regardless of what they are, they're gonna give you points at the end of the game. Such a fun game, and I hope to do a review on this in the next few months. We really enjoyed it, and it's such a quick play. I think the few times we played it, it was definitely under 30 minutes, but I felt like there was so much gameplay packed in that 30 minutes, which I love. During the month of July, I was also able to teach one of my favorite games to my 12-year-old called Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition. Up to this point, I'd really only played this game solo, so it was so much fun to teach this to my son, and he absolutely loved it. There's so much I absolutely love about this game, but I think just building that machine and getting all those combos, it just keeps me coming back for more, and every time I play this game, it feels a little bit different, and I feel like I have to come at the game differently based on the cards I'm presented with, so I think that's why it just always feels fresh and new every time it's on the table. Another game I got the chance to play in July is a game called That Old Wallpaper, put out by AEG. In a nutshell, this game comes down to like a puzzly shape creation game. So you're drafting these wallpaper cards into your display, and you're having to place them strategically so that you can make the correct shape in each color group. So there's 4 colors in the game, and each color has a big shape and a little shape. And at the end, basically, you could make like 12 big shapes and 0 small shapes in a certain color. And whatever you made the least of, so in that situation, it would have been the 0 small shapes, that is the number that scores. This was the first time I personally encountered this type of scoring where it didn't matter how many of something you made, it was actually the lower of the 2 numbers you were looking at to score. So that kind of made me scratch my head and really have to rethink my strategy in the game. It wasn't so much about creating all these shape matches, it was like making sure I was growing each shape at the same time, which made me have to slow down and was much more of a brain burner than I thought this game was going to be. Now, I thought the theme of this was really retro and really neat. I love what they did with it, but at the end of playing it several times, I still was kind of left like it was an okay game. On the other hand, I taught this game to my mom and she loved it. And she was like, I want to play again. I want to have more time to think about where I'm putting my cards. Cause you know, the first time in our household, the first time you play, it doesn't count, it doesn't score. But after that, that's when we can get competitive. So she really enjoyed this game. So it just goes to show you, you know, I can kind of be like, oh, I don't know if I like this game. Well, my mom loved it. So it's definitely going to be staying on our shelf. It is an awesome filler game and it's definitely outside of the box. I did feel like this particular game took a little bit to teach, and I think it's because it's really overwhelming to see all the shapes and patterns on the cards and to really understand the scoring. It's one of those games you have to play through all the way to scoring and actually score each person's display, and then all of a sudden it's like it clicks how the game works, and that's kind of how I felt That Old Wallpaper was to teach. All right, next up on the list is Cellulose. This is a really fun game put out by Genius Games. I do enjoy the solo mode, but I like the multiplayer better, and I was able to teach this one to my 12-year-old this past month, and the first thing he said to me was like, Mom, I recognize so many of these words from school, and I was like, that is awesome. That is what Genius Games is all about, trying to take these scientific methods and really make them fun for people to understand. And whether you're into the scientific part of this or not, this is still such a great game, and I really do recommend that if you get the chance to try any of Genius Games products, you do it. Don't let the science or learning aspect deter you. At the foundation, these are still great games, really fun games, and Cellulose is basically a worker placement game. So if you like that type of game, I highly recommend you give it a try. In addition to Cellulose, another game we got to try out by Genius Games was Outnumbered Improbable Heroes. Now, Now, I did do a video on this in July, so you can check that out for a full detail of how it plays. But basically, this is a cooperative math game, and you're using dice to make combinations of numbers in order to get villains off the board. And I have to tell you, this game is quite challenging. It's a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be. I will say though, when we played at the hero mode, which is the hardest mode, but we did lose. Josh and I actually played this with my daughter, who's 10, and we had such a fun time playing this around the table. A really great game that is sneaky in making sure your kids are staying up to par on their math skills. Next up, we have Raccoon Robbers. Absolutely love this game, and I also did a video on this in July. In this game, you are playing as a gang of raccoons, and you've got little raccoons, and then you've got this big raccoon boss. So in order to win the game, your raccoon boss, which is the big raccoon, has to get to the golden trash can. And in order for your boss to move, you have these little raccoons that have to climb up houses and jump off. And depending on what floor they're at when they jump off, depends on how far your raccoon boss can move. This game gets a little bit of take that because you can actually knock each other's raccoons down off the houses by playing certain cards. And if raccoons move down and hit other raccoons, they move down, and it causes like this cascade event, which is just, it's a really fun time. We have such a fun time playing this, and this game really plays pretty quick. It's a great lightweight family game. Another one, we got to the table and my parents came and visited, and we played Monstrosity. I think I'm saying that correctly. This game is so fun. It is such a fun game. So basically everyone except one of the players is going to get a white like dry erase board and a marker, and they are going to be taking on the role of like a criminal sketch artist. But in this game, the criminals are these crazy like looking monsters, which I don't even know who thinks of these things. I'm not that imaginative or creative, but these monsters are crazy looking. So then the one player that doesn't have the dry erase board is randomly going to have a monster card, and they have 20 seconds to like absorb everything about that monster. And when the 20 seconds are up, they put it face down, and they basically have to articulate everything they saw about this monster. So while they're trying to articulate what this monster looks like, everyone else around the table is like trying to do their criminal sketch of this monster. And we only have 2 minutes to do these sketches. And at the end, everyone shows their drawing and we compare it to the actual card and what the monster looked like. This is one of those games where I feel like you just spend more time laughing at everyone's pictures than you do really care about who wins. I have 2 more games that are like our go-to games when we have friends or family come, and one of them is Point Salad and the other one is Walkie Talkie. These are great little filler games, and they're so quick to teach and easy to play. It's something you don't have to feel like you're overwhelming people with rules. It's like take a card, play a card. I love those kind of games when family and friends are here. So those are 2 that we really enjoy getting out when people come to visit. And last up is Sheepy Time. This is a go-to game with kids. I think this is such a great family game. It's basically a push your luck game. You're moving your sheep and you're trying to outrun the nightmare, and every time you jump over the fence, you have to decide like, do I want to keep going or do I just want to take the points I have? So that's where that push your luck element comes in. Such a great family game put out by AEG. Before I break down our top 3 board games that we played during the month of July, I want to talk about 3 games that I really enjoyed playing with my little guy. So my little guy was 5 in July. He just turned 6 at the end of July, and if you're like me and you've got a little guy, you may want to check out these games. The first one we played is called Spinderella. So this game has like a magnet component, and you each play ants, and you can move these little spiders around, and there's one hanging and it can actually like catch one of the ants. It is such a cool game. It's so outside the box, and it is a fun game that I enjoy playing with my little guy. Another one we played is called Mukapaza. I think I'm saying that right. You have this big board and there's like all of these crazy animals that you're trying to construct. So on your turn, you actually flip over an animal that you need to make on the board, and you get 3 moves. So you can decide which row you want to move, but you can only move 3 times. And in those 3 times, you're wanting to align a column that matches the animal that you turned over in the beginning of the game. This is such a great game for kids because you can see their little wheels turning as they're trying to think, how can I get the animal that I flipped over in the least amount of moves to show up on the board? It is a really great game for kids, and if you get a chance, I would check it out. Another one that my little guy is really obsessed with is called Happy Hopping, and this is, I guess, kind of like a dexterity game. The game comes with these little plastic frogs, and you're like pushing them down and flipping them in the air, and the game is played over 8 rounds, and each round you have like a different goal or objective that you need to accomplish with your frogs. My bigger kids love this one too. It's a great, quick, fun game for little ones. All right, last up for this video are our top plays, like the games that made it on our table the absolute most, and that we just had so much fun playing together. So number 3 is Doodle Dungeon. This game is so much fun. It is like a flip and write meets a dungeon crawler. It is seriously so cool how they made this game. So the game is played over 3 phases, and in the first phase, you are doodling your dungeon. Like you're flipping over certain cards, telling you what you can add to your dungeon. In the second phase, you swap dungeons with the person sitting next to you, and they actually like draw a path from the entrance to the exit of your dungeon. And in this path, they're like running over traps that you've built, and they're, drawing a line through monsters. So then you switch back. So once you get your dungeon back, you have to defend your dungeon, and you're like giving your hero damage. And the goal is to like kill your hero at the end and have your dungeon standing victorious. And you're hoping your monsters are still defending your treasure. Such a fun game. If you guys get the chance to pick this one up, our family loves this game. I will say it does take some time to play because of the mechanics of the game, but it is such a fun experience, and we just loved playing this game around the table in the month of July. All right, number 2, this is the second game that got the most attention on our table, and that is the Guild of Merchant Explorers. This game is put out by AEG, and wow, it is so much fun. I absolutely love this game, not only solo, but multiplayer. Although I will say it doesn't have a lot of player interaction, so it does still feel a little bit like a solo game, even in the multiplayer game, but nonetheless, so much fun. In this game, it is also similar to a flip and write, but you're doing away with the pen and paper, and you're bringing in these little cubes, and everyone has their own map. And the game is played over 4 eras where you're putting your explorers out, and really the whole point of the game is to just earn the most money. One of the things I love about this game is that in order to earn the most money, there's all these different avenues you can take, so it never feels like you're just stuck in a lane. You can explore and try all these different strategies, and there's also different maps, so this has just been a really fun one to get to our table as well. And our number 1 most played game for the month of July is Carnegie. For the month of July, just Josh and I played this game. I think it's just a little bit too much for our kids to play, but this is one we enjoyed. We played over and over and over. This is one of those games, once you have it on the table, you kind of just want to keep playing it because it is a little bit fiddly with getting all the stuff out. And so once you have it out, it's just kind of easier to, play a couple times instead of just one. But we just love this game. Again, something I love about it is there are so many strategies you can have. It's not a one track to win. You can try multiple things every time you play and change your strategy. I did kind of feel like we always scored right around the same no matter what strategy we were doing. So that just made me feel like the game was really evenly weighted and very well thought out. I love the theme of this one. I love the element of, making these supplier chains out on the board on the map. This is one we absolutely loved playing during the month of July. Well, that was a ton of games, and we had so many great memories around our table during the month of July playing board games, and I hope you guys did too. And I would love to hear some of your top plays, maybe your top 3 plays for the month of July. I definitely don't know if we're gonna get as many plays as we did for July for August, because August seems crazy. I mean, Gen Con is coming up. This is gonna be my first time attending. I'm so excited, and I'm really hoping that I can run into a few of you and just say hi in person. And in addition to that, our kids also started school on Monday, so we'll see what happens for August. Hopefully we can still get a lot of plays in, but it probably won't be as many as we had in July. Well, as always, I hope this video encourages you to get a few of those games on your shelf onto your table. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you later.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes.